guess what? We're going to do this differently because Deb's going to introduce us.
Oh, welcome, Moira. Welcome,
spot.
listeners. Welcome, Deborah, to our call. And today we're talking about obligations.
I know.
Which is so heavy.
Heavy, I know.
Even as I say that, my whole shoulders slump and I go, ugh.
But remember, we are all about deliciously motivated mindset. And so we want to look at obligation because we gotta. I'm obligated to talk about obligation.
We should.
Yeah, we should.
Yes. And so welcome, listeners. I'm just going to take over Moira's role here. Welcome, listeners. We'd love you to rate, R-A-T-E, yourself on where you are on a scale of 0 to 10. 10 being in a funk, in a slump, blur. I say it a little bit differently to Moira. And 0 being poised and present.
Totally zenned
out. Yeah. And not necessarily sitting there cross-legged. And so 0 being in that state, or 10 being in a funk, in a real deep funk. So where are you on a scale of 0 to 10 with your mood, your energy of who you are right now? And so if everybody could just write that down, would be great, or just think about it. Moira, where are you?
I would put myself around sort of 2.5 to 2.5. And I think because at my
we've just done a podcast,
but it's like that you know, when you're on, you got different things coming in your mind, and so you're just putting a little bit of tension on yourself, I think. But in a good way. 2 is a good number, I think.
Yeah,
I think you.
I think 2. I think 2 I feel comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
I just, we've just done a little podcast and had a chat. And so whenever I have that chat with you, even though I feel I'm centered and poised, and I get on the phone to you and we talk, and then I just instantly hearing your voice, it settles me down again to go, oh, there's my Moira. There we are. What are we talking about today? So it instantly, just hearing your voice gives me another level.
Thank you.
As well. Yeah, and so so I would say probably a 2.
Yeah. And I think to your point too, I so love our time together doing these and look forward to it. So we can easily, because and we've talked about this before, is to look for ways where you can quickly bring yourself to that space, right? So I might have a stressful situation or have an issue come up, and it might, take me up to a 7 or 8.
Yeah.
But if I'm aware of that, my piece is to then take a deep breath and say, oh, look, on my calendar, I get to spend some time with Deb. All is well. Yeah. And I can, you come back down.
And it is that, but the key there is actually recognizing it instead of going, man, and throwing your toys out of the cot. Big time.
Or going into chaos, as you would say.
Yeah. Chaos is such a nice word to going, I'm going into a dark place or whatever. Chaos for the pom-poms. And actually just recognizing that. And as soon as you recognize that alone allows you to breathe and then make an informed decision on how am I going to handle that, whatever that is. Yeah. So, so we're both 2s in our obligation. In our
both 2s in ours. Yeah. No, but you know how you were saying you said it in your little intro for us today about it's a yucky, heavy thing to talk about obligation. But I think that if we can unhook that negativity to it and use it as just one end of a spectrum, because to me, I like
just a word.
It is just a word, but also you see. If I go through myself being directed by obligations and shoulds and got to do it for other people, I'm not allowing choice. I'm not allowing me to just sit in and choose. So let's just maybe get into what we mean by obligation. What does obligation mean to you? Like, what's the definition of obligation?
You know, funny, I just actually was just going to go, what does the dictionary say obligation meaning? You know, an act of action to which a person is morally or legally bound. A duty of commitment, morally or legally bound.
Right.
You know, I didn't even think legally bound. A duty, yeah, obligated to do something, yeah.
But so that's still so
obligation to me, I'll just say obligation to me means going outside what I want to do.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, outside of what I want to do, and you're doing something for somebody else. But if you can, yeah, I would say probably, yeah, outside of what I want to do right now. If I don't want to do it, I feel obligated to hang the washing out, or I feel obligated to talk to a friend, or I feel obligated to go to work, or, you know, if you've got a sick child at home or something, you're obligated, you know, it's something you have to do to fix things, I would say. So the legally bound's quite interesting. What's yours?
So I get that. It is interesting that legally bound type of thing. To me, it's that I have to do it because somebody else said so. Yeah. Right. And the definition kind of speaks to that, right? Is that I have to do it because so and so said so, or because society said so, because this person told me I had to do this. Then therefore I'm obligated to doing it that way. But I think that what happens for people is we get this negative sort of whiplash from that if I'm doing something just because I have to do that because the law says so, or that I'll get in trouble with that person or that group if I don't do it that way, and I'm resisting and I'm having a tantrum, I'm like, damn it, I don't want to do this, and why me? Then look at that energy that you've created around you, as opposed to just saying, okay, I could look at this as an obligation, or I could actually say this is part, or this is an attribute of an overriding choice that I've made. So, you know, you said about a sick kid. That's a really good example. Let's say
your child's at home and you have to go to work, and you're torn between, I have to stay at home with my child, but if I have no sick leave, so I don't get paid, or I have to go to work or something, you know, so there's that obligation. What do? Your moral right is to look after that sick child.
Right.
But then your moral right is also to go to work, to bring in that income to serve the person who's giving you. So where does it sit with that?
Well, for that, the kid comes first, doesn't it?
Wow. And some people, but then if the boss goes, well, you've got no leave, we need you here, you have to find someone to look after the kid. You know, that's where people lose their shite and they go, well, bugger you, I'm resigning. Effective now.
And you make me, I think of times when I lived in Britain. I remember there's a couple of times where there was like single mums that would go to work and they'd leave their toddler with no daycare because they couldn't afford it. And so that's playing right into that. And so it's very sad that it's almost like giving the power of that obligation too much. Whereas is really, in essence, my take on it is to own my choices. So in your scenario that you're saying about, you know, I don't have any sick time, or the boss says I have to show up, then maybe I'll take the kid with me. Maybe I get a cot and blankets and set up a little corner in my office.
I find I would say obligation destroys your soul.
Yeah.
It chips away at you until there's nothing left of you. Just, you know, and I'm going to go into marriage. You know, people stay in marriages through obligation. You know, the amount of people I work with who go, I have to stay till the kids have left school or the kids have left home, you know, and the kids are only 5 or 6, and they go, no, I need to stay. And I'm like, do you know your child doesn't leave home till they're 18 at least, minimum? So you're going to stay
in
another.
the meantime, they're just soul destroying to their kids because of what they have to endure because of your obligation.
And just for the record, everybody, kids frickin' know when there's chaos between parents or anybody. They are not stupid.
Nope.
Let's just get that right now. That's the point blank. Don't be stupid because they're not stupid.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Well said.
But yeah, but that is people who say, oh, I can't stay until, I can't leave until the children go. It's like, whoa, you can't, don't feel obligated to stay in that marriage or that commitment for the children, because they're going to be far better off in the long run for seeing people who love each other and can appreciate each other than seeing them destroy. And what example are you setting your children to stay in that it's okay that dad does that to you or mum does that to you, or that's how couples are supposed to be. I just say obligation's a soul destroyer, but it's also an awakener.
Yes.
Because the moment you realize you're doing things for obligation, you really go, okay, I have to change my patterns. And it's actually, and I say the word have to because have to me is a survival word, like I have to do this to survive.
Yeah.
If you don't change those patterns, it's going to get worse.
Yeah.
So I have to change my patterns. Now I can see that I'm staying with mum or dad because of this, or my partner or whatever, or go to work or do whatever it is to bring that money in,
But I like what you just said though too, because at any point, and I agree with you that obligation is soul destroying, soul sucking.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be, because we have the power to change things immediately.
Just like that.
Just like that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just like that. Because the thing is that we have to remind ourselves of the bigger picture of your why. So to your point about that we have to stay together because of the kids, well, that's kind of a silly story anyway, because there's so many people losing out, like both parties in the marriage as well as the kids. So therefore, maybe you need to clear out the energy and stop saying I have to stay here, and revisit it, because sometimes the relationships will work if you stop telling these dreadful stories about he did this or she did that or she did or did not. And so clean that up, maybe it's time to be honest with one another and to go for counseling or check in. Is there did we derail this relationship completely? Don't give up on it just because you've got into a sense of obligation.
Without blaming the other person. I'm just going to jump that in there.
Exactly it.
Without saying you did this. It's actually, no, what did I allow into my life?
Exactly.
And what can I,
and now what am I choosing? Because our life is our choice. And so I don't know about you, but I want to choose calmness and harmony. And if there isn't that, if it's not there for me, then it's me that's let something in. So I've chosen something that's not supporting or uplifting, right?
Yeah. I totally agree. And I'm just thinking of an example with obligation. If you say to a friend, can you come and help me move? And they go, yeah, sure, I'll help you move. So just for example, I'll help you move. And then, 2 weeks later, one of your other friends go, oh God, I heard you made Jane help you move. Oh, she hated it, da-da-da. And you didn't even know. You thought Jane just loved helping you move, and you hadn't picked up on the energy of anything, and you just went, oh my God, Jane's such a cool friend. Yeah. And then you hear from another friend to say that. And so Jane's felt obligated to come and help you move. And then you hear about that and you feel sick. Absolutely. Because you go, so when somebody does something out of obligation for you and you find it's out of obligation, you feel
disrespect.
Yeah. That's soul destroying as well. So you're either doing something for someone or someone does it for you. It's soul destroying at another level because you've made them do something they don't want to do, but they feel they have to do it. Yeah. And that's, well, actually, what actually popped into my head was obligation sex, which I don't know why that came in, but that just came in. But that in a marriage, when you feel obligated to do that, or in a marriage, in a relationship, obligated to do that, and then you find out that they're doing it out of obligation. whoa, that's not cool for either
No,
parties.
definitely. And it's something I've actually often said. That I liked your
I think I
story
say
there.
often did. Yeah.
I know.
No, often said. Okay, yeah.
No, I was just thinking about your story there about the moving, that you ask somebody and they say sure, and then you find out later
Oh,
that they
that's
were like, oh
horrid.
my God, that's horrible. And I find that soul destroying. It really lowers my vibration about myself and about the other person, because the thing is I don't want anybody doing something for me because they have to, or I better do that or
No,
else she'll be upset with me. It's like, no, don't ever come in and do something just because you think I want
you
you to
feel
do
you
it.
have to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because I don't know about you, but I'd be much happier doing something on my own if there was no one that said, for sure, no problem, I'll come and help you move. And
Yeah.
that's a brilliant example of that. And then, because the other thing too is this is about giving away our power, right?
Mm.
If we give in to, oh, I have to do it because that person's not going to like me or will like me or any kind of story, then we're giving away our own need. We all have the need to be unconditionally loved and accepted. They'll have
Yeah.
that. In fact, it's a birthright. And so when we sell ourselves short because of obligation, of course, going along doing something else, well, that's saying I'm only lovable if I do these things for these people.
Yeah. Whoa. Ooh, that's a sickener.
Isn't it?
Ooh, yeah.
On both,
I don't like that.
that's on both. That's on both ends, right? That's on the end of the person saying, well, I better do it because that, but on the end of the person that's saying, well, you better do this for me.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why it's so, I completely agree with you about that soul destroying part. And that's
When
why.
when I have friends who have moved in the past, and I don't like moving.
Okay.
I'm clearly a princess in certain things, and if I have to do something, I have to do it. But my goodness, my feet go into that stomp, stomp, stomp obligation. But I know when friends have moved in the past, they now don't ask me to help them move, but because they know I don't, but I'm okay cleaning.
Right.
So they'll say things like, oh, Deb, we're moving next week. We're going to have a barbecue afterwards after we've moved. Do you want to come along to that? And then they'll say and I'll say, great. When are you going to be out? And I'll clean the house.
Good for you.
And so I will go in with my music or my podcast, and I'll go in and I'll spend 3 hours or 4 hours scrubbing that place top to bottom.
Yeah.
And that will be my contribution to helping them move. But it's me in my own space, my own energy, what I want to do. Now, I don't feel obligated to that. I'm getting exercise. I'm listening to my stuff. I'm doing my duty.
And you're
also
being
as a
of
friend.
service as a friend. Absolutely.
That's right.
I love that.
But you get me to box shite up. Oh my God, I will moan and groan and I'll avoid as much as I possibly can, but I'll do it another way that I can help them. And so they know I can scrub that house top to bottom and I can provide that service, which is way more fulfilling. But if you get me to box up a kitchen, far out. And don't blame me if I didn't even write on the box because I can't remember what's in there and shite gets broken.
And I didn't like it anyway.
I don't want to do it. Yeah, because my energy I'm putting into that, and that's it. That's the other thing too. I had an assistant who used to send my mailers, and my whole mailers weren't even getting open. My whole strike rate for about 3 of them. It was, and I couldn't figure it out. She hated doing it, and I couldn't figure it out. And so it was obligation to her to do a task that she didn't want to do. But it felt it. When I would read those mailers, I go, oh, that doesn't feel right. That's not how I wrote it.
Yeah.
But because she would put her, and so she felt obligated to do it. So that energy is being put out there again. But yeah, for me, moving house, I will clean your house.
But you won't.
And I don't like cleaning, but I'll do that rather than things. So I'm not, I don't feel it's obligation. I just feel it's what I do as a friend.
Yeah. I really like that. And you know what landed for me as you were describing that is, have you ever come across a system called nonviolent communication? Do you know that body of work? It's by his first name's Marshall. I think it's Marshall Rosen something.
Okay.
But his body of work, and there's lots of people that teach this as a modality or as a way of being. But the idea of nonviolent communication is, and it really reflects in this idea of obligation. He talks about violent communication can be me standing in a lineup of a grocery store and checking out the shopping cart in front of me and going, oh my God, that's dreadful shop. That's so unhealthy. That's awful. Look at that person.
Okay. I might have done that.
But
just
also,
throw that one out there.
The other part, why that landed for me is that let's say you do go along and pack up somebody's house and you'd be like, God's sake, what the hell am I doing here? And I don't like this, and breaking dishes and not. That's violent communication. Because your energy, and to your point too about your assistant that was doing it from a sense of obligation, her communication was coming through, and the result was you weren't getting open rates. So
it was really, but it took me 3 mailers to discover that.
Yeah.
To go, why is this happening? And then I watched her do it, and it was like,
oh no.
And I'm like, oh my God. And you know, instead of it taking 15 minutes. Yeah, totally.
Perfect example of this violent communication.
Yeah, I wasn't present enough to see it because I just said, here's the task, go do them.
Right.
You know, I wasn't present with my energy with her or that sort of stuff. Yeah. And that's obligation. Yeah. Her tasks are A, B, C, D, E, F, G, you know, her tasks are these, get them done.
Yeah. And so she huffs and puffs and rolls her eyes and says, well, to hell with it, I better get on and do it. And
yep, and I would just leave the office because I'd be sick of her puffing and puffing. So I go, whatever, just get it done.
Right.
Just do it.
Right.
You know,
right.
And that's obligation. That non-violent communication is quite an interesting one. I have judged people with their groceries.
So I wanted to kind of paint the picture because what he inspires, and I learned this many years ago. It's about 15 years ago when I first I read the book and I did a few workshops on it. And it is always served me well, because it doesn't mean that I don't always not judge people.
Yeah.
But the reason that I brought this up was what his inspiration that I found was to take some of that, this is wrong, I don't like this type of dialogue that we can get into when we are looking at obligations, is to pause for a minute and say, what is your end goal? So are you willing to change that obligation into a choice? Because there's a greater good, or there is something at the end of it that you really do want. And so that to me has always served me well, is that there are things that I do for people or for myself that I don't really want to, but it's because I've chosen that there's the result I want. And so that I'm willing, I show up with a willingness to it, and I don't have any of that violent communication vibe around me. Yeah. It clears up that sort of soul-sucking energy that we've been talking about with this idea of obligation. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, it's working out what, like you know, I say once you've recognized it, then you can move forward on it. And so for me, once I recognized I don't want to pack up a house, and they're like, yeah, but there's going to be a few people here you like so and so, you two can do the kitchen. No, as much as I love them, I'd rather sit at a barbecue at the end of the night when it's all done and actually appreciate them instead of going, God, you're slower than me, or any of that stuff. Seriously, you have these plates that you haven't used for so long and they're only display plates. Come on. Because we do have a lot of shite we carry. But once I recognized that and then went, okay, I can clean your house. I can do, what can I do that nourishes me but also nourishes them? What can I do that there's a fair exchange or a win-win and everyone's happy about? Because the truth is, cleaning a house to me is far easier than packing a house up.
Right.
It's far easier. But people go, oh God, I can't, once they're out of that house, I can't think of anything worse than cleaning. And they're like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. Because I can take my, take my shoes off, as I was going to say, and get my music on or whatever and do my own thing at my own pace. Yeah. Like, why would I want to pack with having people watch me moan and groan.
But do you know the other thing too, and it's just from your character, is that you get to see the result, and you know you're being of service. Makes me think of the 5 love languages.
Oh yes,
right. You know about that. That's an act of love.
Yes,
acts of service, act of love. That's how, rather than if you were being forced into doing the packing, there is no love there.
Oh no, there's
just
no love.
Cranky
and I can hear it in my voice. I can hear it in my voice. Packing, moving.
Don't want to do this.
And I tell you what, if I ever move from the place I live in now, I ain't doing it. I will get people.
Get somebody to pay somebody to do it.
I'll give my right kidney. Or maybe not. I'm not going to do it because it would I would just get particularly fussy. I would, no.
Do you know the other thing that I'm feeling into in our part of our conversation here too about this idea of obligation is it can be shifted by having a really good relationship with you with you, because you know this about yourself. Then you can steer and navigate with respect. Like, I love this is a beautiful analogy for it, right? Is that you know that you absolutely strongly despise
Yes, I do.
and so you know that about yourself. You honor and accept. Remember I said we all have the birthright to be unconditionally loved and accepted. There's nothing wrong with you saying that. It's you owning, this is how I feel. Good. But
it's standing in my own power.
Yeah. But then you take it to the next step and say, I'm not doing that, but this is what I'll do.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think, yes, you're right, because it isn't just saying I'm not doing it. End of story.
Yeah.
What can I do that can be that win-win, fair exchange that can still uplift them, but also keep me in that entanglement that I value my friends.
Yeah. And you can, the other example that I would just thought of to share too is that real sense of inner knowing. So for me, we've talked about this before. We're both very busy business people, and sometimes my eating habits can suffer because I'm just always on the go, and then it'll get to 7 o'clock at night, and I think, oh, I haven't thought of anything for supper. Yeah. And so I worked with a nutritionist to help me get more on track with choosing to eat vegetables. But then it was like, oh, damn, it takes so much time to prepare all these vegetables. Oh, hello.
Oh, here goes the cat.
Here's our cat come to visit.
It's because you talked about food.
That's right. So the obligation then became, now I have to buy all these vegetables and prepare them, and that was taking too much time, and I was having little tantrums, like similar to you with your packing.
Yeah, it's that internal talk that we beat ourselves up.
Yeah. And so then the actual fix that I'm really happy with is that I buy prepared vegetables and I steam batches of them, and I'll make, like, maybe I did it yesterday actually. I'd made 9 meals worth, all steamed, prepackaged, and in the freezer, ready to be defrosted and eaten. So that's what I had for lunch earlier today. So again, knowing exactly how I roll and what, now I'm making the right choices.
It's recognizing it. It's that one step is recognizing it, going, why is my body going, oh, I don't want to do that? And you're feeling that tenseness, and you're feeling that nervousness, or whatever, or whatever you call it. Why?
Yes.
I've got it. Okay, there's a problem. Now what's the solution?
Yeah.
What's the, not quick fix. What is it? What's the quick fix? What's the solution? I don't care if it's a quick fix or a long fix. What can I do?
Mm-hmm. To make this more of a choice, more of a healthy experience, because we do know, in my case, I do know that I need to eat vegetables. Yeah. Right.
Well, obligation, we have a Christmas dinner. In fact, this year we didn't do it. Every year the family will get together and everybody has to bring something. Mm-hmm. And, everyone has to bring the dessert or a couple of desserts or something. And I'm not a kitchen person. I
Okay.
can. There's certain things I can do. I can do a pavlova, which is we love in New Zealand, Australia. But there's certain things I can do, but I will avoid it as much as I can. And so my mum said to me one year, she said, we know, and it's obligation to me. I'm like, oh my God, why can't I just pay you money? Why can't I just contribute that way? And one year mum said, okay, we've talked about it. The family and I have talked about it. Great, thanks, mum. And we've decided that you're on drinks.
Good.
And I was like, oh my God, that's awesome. And so being a non-drinker, I was like, this is awesome. I can make a punch, you know, what it is. And so I was obligated to contribute, but they had actually thought about it and said, we've got you on drinks. Unfortunately, we did these red berries. I don't know what they were. There was something. And
like cranberries?
Yeah, it's like that, but it was something in the drink, and you open it up. I don't look. Clearly, I'm not a kitchen person. Just for the record,
maybe pomegranate.
Oh, that's it.
Okay.
But when you open the pomegranate and you scrape it out, sometimes it flicks.
Yes.
So I did it in my parents' laundry, and my daughter and I did it. We were on drinks, which we thought was great. My daughter was just excited, and we flicked, and it went up the wall, and it stained the laundry.
No.
I know, it stained the laundry, so my dad had to repaint the laundry.
Oh no.
It was quite bad, pomegranate. So next year, I just contributed by money.
Good. Much better.
Mum said it's like putting your clothes in with your towels and then you realizing that you're actually useless at it, so you never do the washing again. But yeah, so the obligation of having to do something for Christmas, but they were determined to find a solution that I could contribute.
Right.
And so it was an obligation, and Christmas would come and I would hate it, going, oh my God, I'm gonna have to bake something or I have to buy something, and then you know, like, this is not right, what can I do? I just didn't want to do it, and I knew that whole thing. I would cook a roast meal on a Monday night, and Thursday and Friday we'd still be having it. My daughter would be going, is there anything else to eat? No, we're going to eat this roast. Until I got a housekeeper who came in and cooked for us, which was amazing. But it was that obligation, my duty, that I had to do something. Right. And I did get excited about the drinks because I thought that was great, but they'd thought about it, and they'd come to me and said, we know you're, Mum didn't say we know you're useless at it, but we know it's not your thing. Yeah. She probably said it in her own words. But then I ruined and it cost more money to paint the whole laundry and all the rest of it and the pomegranate. So the following year I just contributed financially, which was fine. Right. You know,
so again,
so that didn't become an obligation. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's now not an obligation, and it releases all the stress that you may have had in the past for the holiday season.
And it's quite fun because it gives them something to talk about, you know, because they all know, and I'm okay saying I'm not a kitchen person, but you know, at Christmas I go, oh, and I'll have the peas or something, and I'll go, oh, did my money go towards this? And they'll all laugh, you know, because it's just something that's, you know, and we do talk about it. It's not something I'm shameful of, because for goodness sake, there's, you know, it's just, and it's banter, and it's healthy banter is what I would say. But
no, and that's good too, because that's the other aspect of obligation, is not being honest. It's not being honest, you know. Like, I'm thinking about the story you shared about the person helping you move, but then you find out from somebody else that they weren't happy there.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah, I don't like that, because it's like, if you don't like doing something, then tell me. Don't go telling somebody else that you didn't like it.
You think about that, and I think, okay, so there's me who's put the energy in, Jane, this is not a real name clearly, Jane, who's helped me move, and then they've spoken to Bob, and then Bob's come back and told me about it. Now, during that time, there's me who's put all this energy in, Jane who's put all this energy in, and then Bob. So when Jane and Bob have talked about the moving, you know, that they've had a whole discussion about me. That's not fair for me. It's not fair for those two. You know, let me know. Yeah. Let me know what's, you know, talk up, speak up. Just say, hey, I don't want to do that. What can I do instead? I'm not going to be offended. I'd flipping rather know, you know, than I'd rather know that you don't want to do it than hear about it from someone else, because they've spent all that time talking in energy-wise, talking about something that they could have been talking about something more inspiring.
Absolutely.
And it's guilt.
It is guilt. But then, and then it makes you feel weighted down by this negativity that was inappropriately spread around about you.
Or beating yourself up that you haven't picked up on that energy as well as the other thing, that you're sitting in your own bubble.
Yeah, that's true. That's
especially
true
for me and you who are, who pick up on people's energy and everything. You're like, how did I miss that? Oh my gosh, what a horrible friend I am. Now I have to overcompensate, obligation, to make it right for them.
Yes, because they're, but you see that's because they're, oops, squeaky, I have my squeaky chair there. But that's because they're not feeling empowered enough, or maybe it's that they're not self-aware enough to say, I don't want to do this, and I don't want to hurt her feelings. So therefore,
you won't hurt my feelings if you speak up.
I know, and I'm exactly the same way too. But there's so many people who have this conditioning that they make up a story.
Yeah.
Right? Oh my gosh, if I do this, then Deb's going to say that, or be like this, or
But sometimes I would rather know than not know. I spoke to a lady yesterday. I returned a skirt, and the lady said, oh, why did you return it? I said, well, I tried it on in front of a friend, and they went, oh God, why did you buy that? And she went, oh, that's a bit harsh. And I said, yes, it is, but that's why I'm returning it, because I don't want people in the street to go, oh God, look at her.
Yeah.
I would rather my friend tell me that. And she said, I'm a bit like that. She says, and she's in a clothing shop, and she says, I get told off because I go, oh, that's not the right color for you. Let me find something else. So she's serving them, but she's also uplifting them by saying, let me find another color for you. That's a better color, or another style, instead of going, oh God, why would you wear that? Or, but I would rather have you say to me as a friend than hear it from somebody else.
Oh gosh, yes, for sure.
Because that's definitely soul destroying.
There's ways of saying things that are a wee bit maybe uncomfortable. Ways to say, and I love how you just said that about that woman in the store, that it's like, oh, that doesn't look right, but so let's find something that does. It's not, off you go. That doesn't look right.
And that's the same as saying, don't come and pack my house, but I'll clean for you. That's it. What's that fair exchange, that win-win, without soul destroying somebody? Because I would, I just would rather
it's being very solution focused and solution oriented, that says no to that and yes to this.
Yeah.
And so then, therefore, it brings this back to the way to not be in heavy weighted down with obligation, is to look at what you're choosing. What's your why, and what's your solution? If you're saying, I don't want to do this, okay, so what will you do? What will you choose? What can you choose? And go from there.
And sometimes you can't choose yourself. So you can say to them, I really, look, it's not my thing to pack. I can come and make sandwiches for you.
Mm-hmm.
I can come and dance and entertain you. I can arrange. I can make sure all the
sing a song.
Sing a song. I can make sure that all the your power and everything. I've got all those phone numbers. I can sit and make sure they've all disconnected and reconnected. I can do that for you if that's your thing. But maybe I can't find that answer, but I can say to you, so Moira, what can I do for you instead?
Yeah.
And that's not an obligation.
Give a list of the things that you're good at or that you're willing to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And brainstorm that out for them, because you do want to help people. You want to help your friends, and you want to help society, and also help yourself. And it's not a friendship goes both ways. It's not an obligation. If you feel that friendship or that marriage or that commitment in business, in any relationship, which is any connection really, if you're feeling that obligation's tapping in, whoa, back up the bus, buddy. Stop and reflect and go, is this my shite? Is this theirs? What am I allowing in? Really, really reassess. And if that takes a minute or two or an hour or a day or a week to figure that out,
then so be it. Absolutely. Time. Because that's the big piece that we've just been touching on, is that the only way through this is to have a really good sense of integrity and self-awareness. Own your stuff.
Yeah.
That's the key piece.
And be prepared to speak up.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is. It's about that. Yeah. Obligation is a soul destroyer if you don't take action on it. Yeah. That would be what I would say.
And so I would say that to use that as a guide, if you start feeling like I'm feeling obliged to doing this for any reason, it's a tap on your shoulder to sit down and say, where am I allowing my power to be robbed, or what can I do? What am I choosing? What's the best way?
Yeah, what's the best way forward here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so as we wrap up another awesome conversation, I hope this, even though this was a bit of a heavier topic, I hope we've helped our listeners see that there is always a way through, should you choose it. And the big takeaway I would encourage people to be aware of is it all comes back to self-awareness. Who are you being with this? And how can you make better choices, empowered choices? Claim your power and keep it. It's all up to you. And so before we say goodbye, did you have one more thing to say?
No, I was just thinking, just it's okay to speak up. It's okay to speak up and just say, this doesn't feel right for me. And if the other person reacts, then that's okay. That's their stuff. But
that's
just
about
go,
them. Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do this. This doesn't feel right for me. Can you just give me 5 minutes to think about it? Or can you just,
well said.
Don't be afraid of that kickback as such, because they will respect you for speaking up. Because it takes a brave person to speak up. Yeah. And especially in relationships, it is that it's in any relationship, really.
Any relationship, absolutely. But you see what that does by having the willingness to say, this doesn't feel right and I'm not quite sure why. Give me a minute to check in with my own feelings. That's telling you that you're worthy.
Yeah.
You're worthy of your own attention, your own awareness to check in and say, you know what? I don't know why, but this isn't feeling quite right. I need to rejig, I need to reset, I need to figure it out. And then I'll come back. And like you say, ultimately you are showing, because this is you teaching people how to treat you. So it's like, no, you're not a pushover. You're not a yes person. You're a person that has your own emotions, your own awareness and choices, and you get to just say, guess what? I need to press pause for a second.
Yeah.
And come back.
Yeah. And they can't get grumpy with you because you're saying, just give me a minute or two.
That's right.
Because that's you respecting you.
Yeah.
And that's up for them to respect themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you're helping them. You're leading by example, because basically you would want them to do that. To do it that
Absolutely.
way too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a two-way street. You said that a moment ago. It's a two-way street. All of this is.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm trying to think of a time where I actually was doing something for obligation. I can't think of anything. I think I'm probably more of a speak up kind of girl, but there probably will be one. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to check. I'm going to go back now and check a time when I was doing something out of obligation and just see how it was and the whole dynamics and look at the bigger picture of that, because that's quite a nice one to just go back and clear. Mm-hmm. Although in saying obligation, when we first started this call, I felt sick. I felt soul destroying and heavy and dark. And now I just feel like it's just a way of being. It's just a word. Yeah. And it can be resolved like that if you choose to, or you can sit in your own shite.
Yeah. And you can choose to do that too if you want to.
Yeah.
So on a scale of 0 to 10, where are you? Did it shift at all in our conversation?
For me personally, it shifted.
Yeah.
For me personally, it shifted. But I get that when I talk to you. But yeah, definitely for me, it shifted. I'm more in the inquisitive of when was the moment I was doing something out of obligation. So that's more inquisitive. But I feel more at ease about it. And it is just a word.
It is just a word. Yeah. I would say I feel that too. I like how we arrived at that space of the balance is achieved by the self-awareness, and then being able to speak up and just say, this doesn't feel right. Even when your head doesn't know exactly what is it or what am I going to offer. Like your example of, I don't want to pack, but I could do this or this or this or this. Well, that takes a bit of research and intel, just sitting in with what's right for you.
Yeah.
So you have to, it's about creating that space for you to do that. And so we encourage our listeners to just check in with that too. 0 to 10, where are you now? No. And there's no right and wrong on this. It's just where you are.
It is.
Yeah.
And let us know. But
Yeah.
I'm quite nosy. I want to know. I want to know where you were, where you are now. I want to know your questions.
Yeah, we'd
Ask
love
away.
to hear. We'd love to hear about this idea. And did we challenge you to start looking at some of your obligations and maybe start to embrace a better way of being with yourself, releasing some of those? We'll have to do it just because.
Yeah. What are
Kind of
your
concept.
insights from today? Yeah.
Let us know. Anyways, as always, it's been such a pleasure to chat with you, my dear. And we hope.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the cat joining.
Yes, the cat came to visit.
A few
She got
times.
convinced that she was going to not be okay here.
She's not going to purr in this podcast
She's
today.
not obligated to be here.
That's the one. Yeah. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, Moira. Thank you for today, and
Thanks,
I
Deb.
look forward to our next session.
Absolutely. Thanks, Deb. Thanks, listeners. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.